I'm Emily Harper, 28 years old, and until 3 weeks ago, I had $55,000 saved for my dream home, a cozy craftsman bungalow in suburban Seattle with a front porch perfect for morning coffee. 6 years of side gigs, skipped vacations, and endless budgeting spreadsheets, all gone in a single afternoon. My younger sister, Lauren, didn't just drain my savings account, she used it to buy a gleaming black Range Rover, strutting like she'd hit the jackpot. But the real gut punch? When I begged my parents for help, they shrugged and said, "Lauren needed it more. You'll figure it out, Emily." And then I found a banknote hinting at a family secret they'd hidden for years, a lie that made this betrayal cut even deeper. If you're watching this, drop a comment with where you're from and hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you'll want to hear how I uncovered their deception and fought to take back my life. Growing up in the tree-lined suburbs of Bellevue, Washington, I learned early that Lauren was the golden child. At 26, she's got that influencer glow, perfect Instagram selfies, a laugh that draws crowds, and a knack for getting what she wants. Me? I was the awkward older sister, nose in a book, glasses fogging up from stress sweating through math tests. While Lauren was crowned homecoming queen, I was acing AP classes and working weekends at a local bookstore to save for college. Our parents, David and Susan Harper, never hid their preference. Lauren's cheerleading trophies lined the living room. My straight-A report cards got a "that's nice, honey," and a quick subject change. Dad, a high school basketball coach, bonded with Lauren over her charisma. Mom, a part-time event planner, loved parading her star daughter at charity galas, claiming it boosted business. I wasn't jealous, not really. I just wanted to be seen, so I became the responsible one, the planner, the one who didn't need hand-holding. It wasn't about praise anymore. It was about survival. Because in our family, Lauren's needs always came first, and I was left to fend for myself. But what I didn't know was that Lauren's needs were hiding a secret that would shatter everything I thought I knew about my family. I can still picture our family dinners in Bellevue, the kind where the smell of Mom's rosemary chicken filled the house, and Lauren held court like she was born for the spotlight. She'd toss her hair, tell some story about her latest influencer gig, and Dad would laugh, like she'd invented comedy. Mom would beam, refilling Lauren's plate before she even asked. Me? I'd sit there, fork in hand, trying to slip in a word about my new financial analysis job or the budgeting app I'd built for fun. "That's great, Emily," Mom would say, her eyes already back on Lauren. It wasn't just that Lauren was the favorite, she was the sun, and I was a planet orbiting in her shadow. Growing up, I told myself it didn't matter. I'd work harder, save more, build a life that didn't need their approval. But deep down, it stung. Every single time. Lauren had this magic about her, even as a kid. At 16, she was landing modeling gigs for local boutiques, her face plastered on bus stop ads. By 20, she was an Instagram influencer with 50,000 followers, posting about skincare and smoothie bowls. Her career was a revolving door of failed ventures, a vegan cupcake business, a yoga retreat that never happened, all bankrolled by Mom and Dad. They called it investing in her future. Meanwhile, I was grinding through college at the University of Washington, majoring in finance, working nights at a coffee shop to cover what my partial scholarship didn't. When I asked why they paid Lauren's full tuition at a private art school, where she dropped out after 2 years, Dad said, "You're the smart one, Emily. You'll land on your feet." Those words became my life soundtrack. Emily will be fine. Lauren needs us more. But there was something off even back then. I'd overhear Mom whispering to Dad about the trust fund for Lauren, how it was for her stability. I assumed it was some inheritance from a distant relative, but they never mentioned it to me. Once, when I was 22, I found a bank statement in Dad's office showing a $20,000 transfer to Lauren's account, labeled Trust Disbursement. I asked Mom about it, and she snapped, "It's family business, Emily, don't pry." I let it go, chalking it up to their usual favoritism. But that memory stuck, like a splinter I couldn't dig out. Why was Lauren getting secret money while I scraped by? The favoritism wasn't just financial, it was emotional. When Lauren crashed her first car, a hand-me-down Honda, Dad co-signed a loan for a shiny Audi because she needs to look professional. When I saved up for my own used Toyota, Mom said, "It's practical, like you." Lauren's breakups were family crises, with Mom baking her favorite cookies and Dad taking her on cheer-up fishing trips. My milestones, graduating college debt-free, landing a job at a top Seattle firm, got a pat on the back and a "keep it up." I stopped expecting more. I focused on my goal, a house of my own, a place where I could finally feel secure, not overshadowed. But the cracks in our family weren't just about favoritism. 2 years ago, I overheard Dad on the phone, his voice low and tense. "We can't let Emily know. It'd ruin everything." I thought he was talking about a surprise, maybe a birthday gift. Now I wonder if it was about the trust fund or whatever they were hiding. That conversation haunted me, but I pushed it aside. I didn't want to believe my parents were keeping secrets, not for me, the daughter who never asked for anything. Last summer, things seemed to shift. Lauren landed a steady gig managing social media for a local startup, her first real job. At a family barbecue, Dad toasted my promotion to senior analyst, and Mom asked about my house hunting plans. For once, I felt like part of the family, not an outsider. I let my guard down, sharing how I'd saved $55,000, how I was eyeing a craftsman bungalow in Fremont with a porch swing. Even Lauren chimed in, asking to see listings. "That's so you, Em," she said, smiling. I thought we were connecting, that maybe we'd outgrown the old sibling rivalry. I was wrong. That trust, that moment of vulnerability, set the stage for everything that followed. A month later, I'd learned that Lauren wasn't just jealous or entitled, she was desperate. And my parents? They weren't just enabling her, they were covering up a lie that tied our family's finances together in ways I never imagined. The trust fund wasn't an inheritance, it was a fiction, a way to hide their own financial mess. Dad's coaching job barely covered their mortgage, and Mom's event planning was a side hustle, not a career. They'd been funneling money to Lauren to keep up appearances, to make her look like the successful daughter they wanted. And when Lauren's latest scheme, a brand partnership requiring a luxury SUV, fell short, they didn't hesitate to point her toward my savings. They thought I'd roll over, like always. They thought wrong. Looking back, I see the signs I missed. The hushed conversations, the bank statements, the way Mom's smile tightened when I asked about money. I'd spent years proving I didn't need them, but I never realized how much they needed me, or at least my money, to keep their house of cards standing. That betrayal, that secret, was about to unravel everything, and I was done being the one who paid the price. Every dollar in that $55,000 savings account was a choice. No weekend getaways with friends, no fancy coffees, no splurging on concert tickets. For 6 years, I lived like a monk, funneling every spare cent into my dream of owning a home in Seattle's Fremont neighborhood, a craftsman bungalow with cedar shingles and a porch swing where I could read on rainy fun days. I'm Emily Harper, and that house was my North Star, the proof I could build something solid, something mine, despite my family's indifference. I'd sit at my tiny apartment desk, updating my budgeting spreadsheet, watching the numbers climb. $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. Each milestone felt like a quiet victory, a middle finger to the voice in my head that said I'd never be enough for my parents. But I didn't know that dream was about to be stolen, not just by my sister Lauren, but by a family secret I'd never seen coming. My discipline started early. At 18, I took on 2 jobs, barista and bookstore clerk, to cover college costs at the University of Washington. My parents, David and Susan, paid for Lauren's private art school, but for me, it was scholarships, loans, and late-night shifts. I graduated with a finance degree and $15,000 in debt, which I paid off in 3 years by living on rice and beans and sharing a cramped apartment with 2 roommates. Lauren? She graduated with no debt, no job, and a starter condo Dad rented for her in downtown Seattle. I didn't complain. I'd learned complaining got me nowhere. Instead, I got a job at a financial firm, worked overtime, and started my house fund. Every month, I transferred 30% of my paycheck into a high-yield savings account, tracking interest rates like a hawk. I researched first-time buyer programs, calculated mortgage payments, and dreamed of a kitchen where I could bake bread from scratch. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. My biggest cheerleading was Grandma Ruth, Mom's mother, who lived in a small condo in Tacoma. She'd grown up during the Great Depression, pinching pennies to survive, and she saw something of herself in me. Over cups of Earl Grey at her kitchen table, she'd say, "Emily, financial independence is your freedom. Don't let anyone take it from you." Her words were my mantra when I was tempted to buy new shoes or join friends for a Vegas trip. Ruth knew what it meant to stand alone. She'd once cut off her own brother for borrowing money he never repaid. Family's important, she told me, but so is your self-respect. I clung to that, especially when Mom and Dad brushed off my achievements while throwing cash at Lauren's failed ventures. A pop-up boutique, a wellness blog that lasted 3 posts. Last spring, I hit $50,000 in my savings. I was so close to my goal, I could almost smell the cedar of that Fremont bungalow. At a family dinner in June, I let myself be vulnerable. We were at Mom and Dad's house in Bellevue, the table set with Mom's best china, Lauren chattering about her new social media job. For once, they seemed interested in me. Dad asked about my work, and Mom said, "You're always so put together, Emily." I took a chance. "I'm almost there," I said, my voice tight with excitement. "I've saved $50,000 for a house. I'm looking at places in Fremont, a craftsman with the porch swing." I pulled out my phone, showing them a listing. 3 bedrooms, a small yard, a bay window perfect for a reading nook. Dad raised his glass. "To Emily's future," he said. Lauren leaned over, scrolling through the photos. "That's adorable, Adam. You're gonna kill it." For the first time in years, I felt seen. I went home that night buzzing, thinking maybe we turned a corner. That moment of connection blinded me. I didn't notice Lauren's eyes linger on my phone or the way Mom and Dad exchanged a quick glance when I mentioned my savings. I didn't know Lauren's steady job was a house of cards, her influencer deals drying up. I didn't know Mom and Dad were drowning in debt from years of funding her lifestyle, their trust fund story a lie to cover their own financial chaos. I trusted them, and that trust was my mistake. A month later, I'd learned that Lauren had been planning her next move, a luxury Range Rover to elevate her brand, and my savings were her ticket. Mom and Dad didn't just know, they handed her the map to my account, thinking I'd swallowed the loss like always. They underestimated me. Looking back, Grandma Ruth's words echo louder than ever. Don't let anyone take your freedom. I'd spent 6 years building mine, sacrifice by sacrifice, only to have it ripped away. But that dinner, that fleeting moment of family warmth, wasn't just a setup for betrayal. It was the spark that lit my fight. I wasn't just saving for a house, I was saving for my worth. And no one, not even my family, was going to take that from me. I'll never forget the moment I saw my savings account balance. It was a rainy Tuesday night in my Seattle apartment, the kind where the city feels like it's holding its breath. I was curled up on my couch, laptop on my knees, a mug of peppermint tea steaming beside me. I'd been dreaming about that craftsman bungalow in Fremont, picturing the porch swing creaking under a summer breeze. I logged into my bank account to check my house fund one last time before meeting my realtor, Sarah, the next day. My heart stopped. Where there should have been $55,342.17, the sum of 6 years of sacrifices, there was $1,892. I blinked, thinking I'd misread. I refreshed the page. Same number. My hands shook as I checked my other accounts, praying I'd somehow transferred the money. Nothing. It was gone. I'm Emily Harper, and that moment shattered my world. my dream home, my security, my proof that I could rise above my family's indifference. It vanished in an instant. I called the bank's fraud line, my voice trembling. "I need to report a theft," I said. "Almost $55,000 is missing from my savings." The representative's calm tone only made me panic more. "Miss Harper, I'm showing a withdrawal of $54,000 2 days ago at our downtown Seattle branch. It was authorized with your signature." "That's impossible," I snapped. "I haven't been to that branch in a year." She put me on hold to investigate, and I paced my tiny living room, the rain drumming against the windows like a warning. When she returned, her words hit like a freight train. "The withdrawal was made with a cashier's check to Cascade Luxury Autos. The slip has your ID and signature." My stomach dropped. Only one person could have done this. I called my sister Lauren, my fingers fumbling over the screen. No answer. I texted, "Call me now, emergency." Nothing. Then I heard it, the low purr of an engine outside my building. I ran to the window and saw a black Range Rover gleaming under the streetlights. Lauren stepped out, her influencer-perfect outfit screaming money, a smug grin on her face. I stormed downstairs, rain soaking my hoodie. "Lauren, did you take my savings?" I demanded, my voice shaking. She laughed, tossing her keys in the air. "Chill, Em. Isn't she a beauty? I got a killer deal." "That was my house fund," I said, my throat tightening. 6 years of saving. How could you? She shrugged, leaning against the SUV. "I needed it for my grand. Clients won't take me seriously in my old Subaru. You'll save it again. You're like the money wizard." Her nonchalance was a slap. "I stole from you," I said, louder now. "That's fraud." She rolled her eyes. "It's not stealing if it's family. Besides, Mom and Dad said it was fine. They gave your account info." My world tilted. "They what?" Lauren smirked. "They said you wouldn't mind. You're always so responsible." I stood there, rain dripping down my face as the truth sunk in. My parents, David and Susan, hadn't just ignored my dream. They'd handed it to Lauren on a silver platter. I drove to their Bellevue house in a daze, the familiar streets blurring through my tears. Their colonial home, with its manicured lawn and glowing porch light, felt like a stranger's now. Mom was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for her Sunday stew. Dad was in the den, watching a Mariners game. "Emily, what's wrong?" Mom asked, wiping her hands on her apron as she saw my face. I didn't hold back. "Lauren took $55,000 from my house fund. She said you gave her my bank details." Their silence was deafening. Dad muted the TV and Mom's knife stilled. Then Dad spoke, his voice calm, like he was explaining a math problem. "Emily, Lauren needed that car for her career. You know how tough it's been for her." "Tough?" I echoed, my voice rising. "I worked 6 years for that money. It was my dream." Mom stepped forward, her eyes soft but unyielding. "Sweetie, Lauren's been struggling since her last brand deal fell through. This SUV is her chance to rebuild." I stared at them, waiting for outrage, for them to call Lauren and demand answers. Instead, Dad handed me a bank statement from the counter. "Look at this," he said. It showed a $54,000 withdrawal, but scrawled in the margin was a note, "Family Trust Adjustment." "What's this?" I asked, my pulse racing. Mom's face tightened. "It's complicated, Emily. Don't worry about it." But I was worried. That note, that trust, was the first clue to a secret they'd buried. A lie about their finances, about Lauren, about our family. I left their house with more questions than answers. The theft was bad enough, but the family trust note and their casual betrayal cut deeper. They weren't just enabling Lauren, they were hiding something, and my savings were collateral damage. As I drove back to my apartment, Grandma Ruth's words echoed, "Don't let anyone take your freedom." I wasn't just fighting for my money, I was fighting for the truth. I stood in my parents' Bellevue kitchen, the smell of Mom's stew turning my stomach. The bank statement with that cryptic family trust adjustment note burned in my hand. I'm Emily Harper, and I just learned my sister Lauren stole $55,000 from my house fund to buy a Range Rover. And my parents, David and Susan, handed her my account details like it was pocket change. Their faces, mom's forced calm, dad's tight jaw, told me they weren't sorry. They thought I'd roll over, like I always had, the responsible daughter who never made waves. But this time, they'd gone too far, and I was done swallowing their excuses. Explain this, I said, holding up the bank statement. What's this family trust? Mom's eyes darted to Dad, a silent plea. He sighed, crossing his arms. Emily, you're blowing this out of proportion. Lauren needed the car for her influencer work. It's an investment. An investment? I snapped. She stole my house fund, 6 years of my life, and you helped her? Mom stepped closer, her voice soft, like she was soothing a child. Sweetie, Lauren's been in a dark place. Her last deal collapsed, and she's spiraling. This car gives her confidence, a fresh start. I laughed, a bitter sound that echoed in the quiet kitchen. Her confidence? What about my dreams, my home? I was meeting a realtor tomorrow. Dad's face hardened. You've always been fine, Emily. You've got a good job, no debt. Lauren's still finding her way. She's 26. When does she stop finding her way and start facing consequences? Mom's hand touched my arm, and I flinched. Don't be selfish, she said. Family helps family. You can save again. The word selfish hit like a punch. Selfish? I'd spent my life sacrificing, working through college, eating ramen to pay off loans, watching them shower Lauren with money for her brand. And now, my dream was collateral for their lies? The front door swung open, and Lauren sauntered in, her new designer sunglasses perched on her head, keys to the Range Rover jingling. Oh, great, a family meeting, she said, smirking. What's the drama now? I turned on her, my voice shaking with rage. You stole $55,000 from me. You committed fraud. She rolled her eyes, tossing her bag on the counter. God, Em, relax. It's not fraud. It's family. I needed the car. You'll make it back. Her casual entitlement was worse than the theft itself. You had no right, I said, stepping closer. That was my future. She laughed, a sharp, cruel sound that echoed in the quiet kitchen. Your future? A boring house in Fremont? I'm building a brand. I needed this more. I turned to Mom and Dad, hoping just once they'd take my side. Instead, Dad put his arm around Lauren. Let's all calm down, he said. Emily, you're making this harder than it needs to be. Mom nodded. Lauren made a mistake, but she's under so much pressure. Why can't you understand? Then it slipped out. Mom's voice dropped, almost a whisper. Besides, we needed to balance the trust. It was the only way. My blood ran cold. What trust? I demanded. Dad's eyes narrowed. Drop it, Emily. It's not your concern. But it was. That trust was the key to their secret, the reason they'd thrown me under the bus. Lauren smirked, sensing my confusion. You're so obsessed with money, Em. Maybe if you weren't such a control freak, Mom and Dad wouldn't have to fix things behind your back. Fix things? The pieces clicked. Lauren's endless cash, the trust fund I'd never seen, their desperation to keep her shining. They weren't just favoring her, they were hiding a financial mess, and my savings were their bailout. You used my money to cover your debts, I said, my voice low, dangerous. Mom's face paled. That's not true, she stammered, but Dad's silence was answer enough. I drove home, tears blurring the Seattle skyline. In my apartment, I sank onto the couch, the weight of their betrayal crushing me. Then a memory surfaced. Grandma Ruth, sitting on her Tacoma porch when I was 17, her voice steady as she told me about her brother. He took money from our parents, lied about it, and they let him. I had to draw a line, Emily. Sometimes family lies are the hardest to face. At the time, I thought she was talking about loyalty. Now I saw the warning. My parents' lies, their secret trust, were a pattern, and I was the one paying for it. I grabbed my phone and called my best friend Mia. "Can you meet me?" I asked, my voice breaking. "I need someone who isn't my family." 30 minutes later, we were at a coffee shop in Capitol Hill, and I poured out everything: the theft, the trust note, my parents' betrayal. Mia's eyes whitened. "Emily, this isn't just wrong, it's illegal. And that trust, it sounds like they're hiding something big." Her words lit a spark. I wasn't just a victim, I was a fighter. And I was done letting my family rewrite my story. Sitting across from Mia in that Capitol Hill coffee shop, the Seattle rain streaking the windows, I felt like I was waking up from a bad dream. I'm Emily Harper, and I just learned my sister, Lauren, stole $55,000 from my house fund, with my parents, David and Susan, as her accomplices. That family trust note on the bank statement wasn't just a clue. It was a crack in the facade my family had built. Mia's words, "They're hiding something big," echoed in my head. For years, I'd been the responsible daughter, swallowing their favoritism, believing their excuses. Now, I was done. I needed answers, and I wasn't going to stop until I had them. Mia leaned forward, her coffee untouched. "Emily, this isn't the first time Lauren's pulled something shady." I frowned. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, then sighed. 2 years ago, Lauren asked me to invest $10,000 in her wellness retreat. When I said no, she got my PayPal info, don't ask me how, and charged $4,000 for event supplies. I reported it as fraud, got my money back, but she acted like it was a mix-up. I didn't tell you because she begged me not to, said she was desperate. "I'm sorry." My jaw dropped. Lauren hadn't just stolen from me, she had a pattern. "Why would she need to scam you?" I asked. Mia shrugged. "She kept talking about her trust fund running low. I thought it was weird, but I let it go." That word, trust, hit like a lightning bolt. The same trust my parents dodged questions about, the same trust tied to my stolen money. I drove home, my mind racing. In my apartment, I dug through a box of old documents I'd kept from college. Bank statements, tax forms, anything that might hold a clue. At the bottom, I found a letter from Dad's accountant, dated 5 years ago, addressed to my parents. It mentioned a family trust with $100,000 balance, supposedly for Lauren's future. But the numbers didn't add up. The letter referenced payments to cover outstanding debts tied to Mom's event planning business, which I always thought was a side gig. I sat back stunned. The trust wasn't an inheritance. It was a front, a way to funnel money to Lauren while hiding their financial chaos. My parents weren't rich benefactors. They were drowning, and my savings were their lifeboat. But how did Lauren get my money? I remembered setting up my house fund at Pacific Northwest Bank 6 years ago. The manager, Karen, had suggested an extra security layer, a unique 6-digit code for withdrawals over $10,000, separate from my regular password. I'd never shared it, not even with my parents. Lauren couldn't have known it, which meant she'd either guessed it or lied her way past the bank's protocols. I called Mia back. "I think Lauren bypassed my security code," I said. "If she did, that's hard proof of fraud." Mia's voice was firm. "You need to go to the bank, Em, and get a lawyer. This isn't just family drama. It's a crime." The next morning, I walked into Pacific Northwest Bank with Mia at my side, her presence grounding me. Karen, the manager, remembered me from my frequent deposits, always chatting about my house dream. Her smile faded as I explained the theft. "This is serious, Miss Harper," she said, pulling up my account. "The withdrawal required your security code, but..." She paused, her fingers flying over the keyboard. The system shows 3 failed attempts, then a manual override by the teller. My heart leapt. Override? How? Karen's face tightened. It means the teller processed it despite the wrong code, likely because the person provided other identifying information, like my social security number, my mother's maiden name, things my parents knew. Karen called the fraud department, and within an hour we were watching security footage in a small office. There was Lauren, her hair styled like mine, wearing glasses I'd never seen her use, chatting confidently at the teller window. She presented my ID, then fumbled when asked for the code, checking her phone, whispering to the teller. She claimed it was a medical emergency, Karen said, reading the teller's report. Said she was you, needed the money for surgery, and provided your personal details. My stomach churned. Lauren hadn't just stolen, she'd impersonated me, and my parents had armed her with everything she needed. Mia squeezed my hand. This is fraud, Em. You've got her. Karen nodded. I recommend filing a fraud claim and contacting the police. We'll freeze your accounts and investigate further. For the first time since discovering the theft, I felt a spark of hope. The evidence was clear, and the bank's mistake, overriding the code, strengthened my case. But as I left the bank, Grandma Ruth's words echoed. Family lies are the hardest to face. Lauren's theft was one lie. My parents' secret trust was another. And I was just starting to unravel how deep their deception went. I wasn't just fighting for my money, I was fighting for the truth, and I was ready to face whatever came next. The security footage from Pacific Northwest Bank played on a loop in my mind. Lauren, posing as me, charming the teller into bypassing my security code. I'm Emily Harper, and that image was the proof I needed to turn my pain into action. My sister stole $55,000 from my house fund. My parents enabled her, and their family trust lie was unraveling. With Mia by my side, I was done being the doormat daughter. But fighting back meant more than reclaiming my money. It meant facing a public scandal that would expose my family's secrets and test my resolve like never before. At the bank, Manager Karen walked me through my options: freeze my accounts, file a fraud claim, and report the theft to the police. This is identity theft, Miss Harper, she said, her voice grave. The teller's override was a serious error. We're liable. I nodded, my hand steady for the first time in days. I do it all, I said. That afternoon, I met Sarah Cohen, a lawyer Mia recommended, who specialized in financial fraud. Her office in downtown Seattle was sleek, with a view of Puget Sound that calmed my nerves. After hearing my story, the footage, the trust note, my parents' involvement, Sarah leaned forward. You have a slam-dunk case, Emily. The bank's negligence and your sister's impersonation are clear, but pursuing this could get messy. Are you ready to press charges against family? I thought of Lauren's smirk, my parents' dismissal. Yes, I said, I'm ready. Sarah drafted a demand letter to Lauren, giving her 7 days to return the $55,000 or face civil and criminal action. We filed a police report with Officer Maria Lopez, who took my case seriously. Family fraud is tough, she said, but the evidence is strong. The bank's fraud team confirmed the teller's error and restored the full amount to a new account, a victory that felt like breathing again. But the real battle was just beginning. Sarah sent the demand letter via certified mail to Lauren's condo and my parents' Bellevue home. I texted Lauren one last chance. Return the money by tomorrow or I'm pressing charges. This is your choice. Her reply was a knife. LOL, you're pathetic. Try it. Mom and Dad will bear you. Then the scandal broke. A local Seattle news blog, the Emerald Pulse, somehow got wind of the story, likely from a bank employee or Lauren's own social media rants. The headline screamed, "Influencer sister accused of stealing $55,000 in family fraud scheme." The article detailed Lauren's impersonation, the Range Rover purchase, and my parents' alleged role, painting our family as a suburban soap opera. Comments flooded in, some calling Lauren a spoiled thief, others accusing me of airing dirty laundry. My phone exploded with texts from cousins, aunts, even high school friends I hadn't spoken to in years. Lauren posted a tearful Instagram video claiming it was a misunderstanding and I was jealous of her success. Mom left voicemails. "Emily, how could you let this go public? You're humiliating us." Dad's texts were colder. "You've crossed the line. You're no daughter of mine." The public backlash hit hard. Strangers recognized me at the grocery store, whispering as I grabbed milk. My coworkers sent supportive emails, but I felt exposed, like my pain was a spectacle. Yet the attention put pressure on Lauren. Her influencer sponsors, local boutiques, a skincare brand, dropped her, citing brand misalignment. The dealership Cascade Luxury Autos contacted Sarah, panicked about their role in accepting a fraudulent check. "We'll cooperate fully," their manager said. "We're repossessing the vehicle." I didn't celebrate. The victory felt hollow when my family was imploding. At home, I curled up with Mia, who filtered my phone from the onslaught of family guilt trips. "You're not the villain," she said. "They're mad because you exposed their lies." She was right, but the weight of their rejection crushed me. I'd spent my life craving their approval, and now I was an outcast. Then Sarah called with a bombshell. "The bank found more records," she said. "Your parents opened a trust account 10 years ago, but it's been overdrawn for years. They've been using personal loans and your savings to prop up Lauren's lifestyle. The family trust was a mirage, a lie to hide their debt. Credit cards, a second mortgage, Mom's failed business ventures. My money was their last-ditch effort to keep Lauren's facade intact." I sat on my apartment floor, surrounded by bank statements Sarah sent over, each one a piece of the puzzle. Grandma Ruth's words rang out. "Family lies are the hardest to face." My parents hadn't just enabled Lauren. They'd built a house of cards, and I was the one they sacrificed to keep it standing. But I wasn't done fighting. The news coverage, the restored funds, the dealership's cooperation, they were proof I was right. As I prepared for the next step, Lauren's court date, I knew the road ahead would be brutal. My family might never forgive me, but I was finally seeing the truth. And that truth was worth more than their approval. The Seattle skyline glittered outside my apartment window, but inside, I felt like I was drowning. I'm Emily Harper, and I'd just won a major battle. My $55,000 house fund was restored, the bank admitted liability, and the local news had exposed my sister Lauren's fraud. She'd stolen my savings for a Range Rover with my parents, David and Susan, as their accomplices, all to prop up a fake family trust that hid their debts. But victory came at a cost. My family turned on me. The scandal painted me as the villain, and the loneliness of standing up for myself was heavier than I imagined. Lauren's downfall was coming, but so was a family rift that might never heal. A week after the news broke, Lauren's world started to crumble. The Emerald Pulse article went viral in Seattle's social media circles, and her influencer empire, built on curated selfies and aspirational posts, imploded. Her sponsors, from a local yoga studio to a boutique jewelry brand, cut ties, citing ethical concerns. Her Instagram comments filled with hate. "Thief! How could you do that to your sister?" Lauren tried to spin it, posting a video sobbing about family misunderstandings, but it backfired. Her followers dropped by thousands. Then came the call from Cascade Luxury Autos. Under legal pressure, they repossessed the Range Rover. Sarah, my lawyer, insisted I attend the return to ensure it went smoothly. So I stood in the dealership's sterile office, watching Lauren sign the paperwork, a police officer overseeing the transaction. Lauren looked like a shadow of her influencer self. No makeup, hair in a messy bun, her eyes red from crying. She glared at me as she scrawled her signature. "Happy now, Emily? You've destroyed my life." Her voice cracked, but I didn't flinch. "You destroyed it, Lauren. You stole from me. You lied." She slammed the pen down. "It wasn't stealing. I was going to pay you back." "With what?" I asked. "You've never saved a dime. You knew what this money meant to me." She had no answer, just a bitter laugh as she stormed out, my parents waiting in their SUV to drive her home. Mao shot me a look, pure venom. "You've taken everything from her, Emily. I hope you're proud." I watched them drive away, Lauren slumped in the back seat, and felt no triumph, only a hollow ache. The family fallout hit harder. Mom texted, "We're hosting Christmas dinner at 5 p.m. Don't come if you're still pursuing this lawsuit. We need peace." Christmas was our tradition. Mom's cedar roasted turkey, Dad's off-key carols, Lauren and I sneaking extra pie. Being excluded felt like a knife twisting in my chest. I spent the evening with Mia's family instead, their warmth a balm but not a cure. My phone buzzed with messages from relatives, Aunt Linda preaching forgiveness, Cousin Jake calling me brave. The division was stark and I was the outcast in my own story. Then a call came from Clara, Grandma Ruth's best friend from Tacoma. "Emily, I heard what's happening," she said, her voice warm but firm. "Ruth would have been proud. She faced something similar with her sister, you know." I sat in my car, rain pattering on the windshield, as Clara shared Ruth's story. Decades ago, Ruth's sister stole their parents' savings for failed business, and their family blamed Ruth for confronting her. Ruth stood her ground, Clara said. It took years, but her sister changed, and the family respected her more for it. Tears stung my eyes. "I don't know if my family will ever change," I said. Clara's voice softened. "They might, Emily, but you're doing this for you, not them." Clara's words were a lifeline, but the pain of my family's rejection lingered. Lauren moved back to my parents' house, jobless, after her office gossip spread. Mom and Dad doubled down, calling me vindictive in voicemails I stopped listening to. Mia filtered my phone, shielding me from their guilt trips, but the emotional toll was brutal. I'd lie awake questioning myself. Was I too harsh? Should I drop the lawsuit to keep the peace? Then I'd remember the footage. Lauren's smirk as she lied to the teller, my parents' casual betrayal. This wasn't just about money, it was about respect, and I was done begging for it. Sarah kept me focused. "Lauren's agreed to a settlement," she said. "She'll pay $10,000 in legal fees and damages over 5 years, secured by a judgment." It was a win, but small compared to the family I'd lost. As I signed the papers, Clara's story echoed, Ruth's courage, her sister's eventual change. I didn't know if Lauren would ever grow, if my parents would see their mistakes, but I knew one thing. I'd chosen myself. And as the Seattle rain fell, washing the city clean, I felt a flicker of hope. The worst was over, but the hardest part, rebuilding, was just beginning. I stood in the kitchen of my new home, a 2-bedroom craftsman in Seattle's Wallingford neighborhood, sunlight streaming through the bay window. It wasn't the Fremont bungalow I dreamed of, but it was mine. Bought with my restored $55,000 savings and Lauren's first settlement payment. I'm Emily Harper, and 6 months ago, my sister stole my house fund, my parents backed her, and a family secret, a fake trust to hide their debts, tore us apart. I'd fought back, won my money, and faced a public scandal, but the cost was a family rift that left me questioning everything. Now, as I unpacked dishes, I saw glimmers of change, not just in me, but in the family I thought I'd lost. The house was small but perfect. Hardwood floors, a tiny backyard, a porch swing creaking in the breeze. Closing day felt like a rebirth. I walked through the empty rooms, imagining holiday dinners, bookcases filled with novels, a life built on my terms. The bank's restoration and Lauren's settlement gave me enough for the down payment, and my job as a senior analyst covered the mortgage. But the real victory wasn't the house. It was the boundaries I'd set. I'd stood up to Lauren's fraud, my parents' lies, and years of being the responsible daughter who got nothing. That strength carried me through the loneliness of family gatherings I wasn't invited to, the whispers from relatives, the nights I cried wondering if I'd done the right thing. Lauren's transformation surprised me most. The scandal, losing her influencer deals, her job, her Range Rover, forced her to face reality. 2 months after returning the car, she texted, "Can we talk? No drama, I promise." Wary, I agreed to meet at a Wallingford cafe, a neutral spot. She looked different. Jeans, no makeup, her usual swagger gone. She said, "I'm in therapy. Court ordered, but it's helping. I've been a mess, Em. I thought money fixed everything." She paused, meeting my eyes. "I'm sorry. What I did was awful. I can't undo it, but I'm trying." It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. The first real apology she'd ever given. She'd gotten a job at a call center, moved into a shared apartment, and was sticking to a budget. She said, "I'm learning, like you always did." Our talks grew regular, cautious steps towards something new. We weren't sisters like before, but we were trying. My parents took longer. They'd frozen me out, blaming me for ruining Lauren, until Clara, Grandma Ruth's friend, intervened. She invited us to lunch in Tacoma, not telling them I'd be there. Over sandwiches, Clara laid it bare. "You've favored Lauren since she was born. Emily's paid for it her whole life. Ruth saw it, and so do I." Mom bristled, but Clara pressed on. "Imagine your parents giving your share to someone else, Susan. How would you feel?" For once, Mom didn't argue. Dad stared at his plate, silent. It wasn't a breakthrough, but it planted a seed. Weeks later, Mom called. "We're sorry, Emily," she said, her voice shaky. "We didn't see how unfair we were." Dad's apology came later, gruff but real. "We messed up. We're trying to do better." Family therapy was my idea, a last-ditch effort to salvage something. To my shock, they agreed. Our therapist, Dr. Patel, helped us unpack decades of patterns. Lauren as the needy one, me as the fixer, taken for granted. Families assign roles, Dr. Patel said. Breaking them is painful, but necessary. The sessions were raw. Dad admitted his pride in Lauren's charm blinded him. Mom confessed her fear of failing as a parent drove her to prop Lauren up. I shared my hurt, the years of feeling invisible. We didn't hug it out, but we listened. When I closed on my house, Mom sent a potted fern with a card. "Proud of you. Love, Mom and Dad." It was small, but it was a start. Last month, I hosted my first dinner party in my new home. Mia and my coworker Jenna came, their laughter filling the space. Lauren brought a salad she'd made herself, a gesture that felt like progress. Mom and Dad arrived with homemade pie, and Clara joined us, sharing stories of Ruth's courage. As we ate, I looked around. Old wounds, new bonds. A family learning to respect me. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Grandma Ruth's words rang true. Your self-respect is your freedom. I'd fought for mine, and in doing so, I'd shown my family what it meant to value me. Healing would take time, but for the first time, I believed it was possible. The porch swing of my Wallingford Craftsman creaks under me, the Seattle skyline twinkling as the sun slips below the horizon. A cool May breeze carries the hum of the city, and I sip chamomile tea, watching the stars peek through the dusk. 6 months ago, my world crumbled when my sister Lauren stole $55,000 from my house fund to buy a Range Rover. My parents, David and Susan, handed her the keys to my dreams, and a fake family trust revealed their hidden debts. I fought back through a public scandal, a family rift, and nights questioning my worth, and came out stronger. This house, this swing, this moment, they're proof of what I've reclaimed. Not just my money, but my voice, my boundaries, my freedom. If you followed my story this far, drop a comment with where you're watching from and hit that subscribe button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it because trust me, we all need a reminder to stand up for ourselves. Every step of this mess carved me into who I am now. That rainy night when my savings account showed $1,892 instead of $55,342.17, I thought my dream, a craftsman with a porch swing, a yard for a dog, a kitchen for baking bread, was dead. Lauren's smug grin as she flaunted her SUV, my parents' cold shrug when I begged for justice, the gut punch of being banned from Christmas dinner, they screamed I'd never be enough. But those lows ignited something fierce. I wasn't just chasing $55,000. I was fighting for 6 years of sacrifices. Overtime shifts, skipped vacations, spreadsheets tracking every penny. My family didn't just steal money. They stole my trust, my place in our story. Losing that hurt, but it gave me something priceless: self-respect. This house, with its hardwood floors and bay window, isn't just a home. It's a monument to what I took back. Every creak in the floorboards, every brushstroke of paint defies the voice that said, "You'll be fine, so Lauren gets to shine." I used to swallow that lie, burying my pain to keep the peace, believing family meant giving everything. But Grandma Ruth's words, shared on her Tacoma porch when I was a teenager, changed me. Your self-respect is your freedom. She was right. Freedom isn't only financial, though paying off my college loans and saving for this home felt like breaking chains. True freedom is saying enough and meaning it, even to the people you love. It's terrifying, messy, sometimes lonely, but it's everything. Here in Seattle, where techies sip overpriced lattes and rain is a way of life, I see dreamers everywhere. Coding startups, painting murals, buying homes, starting families. But I also see people trapped in family roles that demand too much. Maybe you're the fixer in your family, always expected to clean up messes, to give without getting back. Maybe you've gritted your teeth through favoritism, forgiven without apologies, or watched your sacrifices brushed off as no big deal. If that's you, listen. Your dreams are worth fighting for. Your work, your heart, they matter. Setting boundaries isn't betrayal. It's survival. It's saying, I love you, but I won't let you break me. I did it, and it reshaped my life. The fallout with my family was brutal. Lauren's apology, her therapy, her call center job, they're steps, not a Hollywood ending. She's budgeting, living without mom and dad's bailout, but rebuilding trust takes time. Our coffee shop talks are tentative, but they're honest. She's not the sister who stole from me. She's someone growing. My parents are shifting too, slowly. Family therapy with Dr. Patel peeled back years of patterns. Lauren as the star, me as the reliable one they ignored. Mom's potted fern on my doorstep, Dad's gruff, we messed up. They're not perfect, but they're real. We're not the family of old, piling into Dad's SUV for summer road trips or laughing over Mom's turkey. We're something raw, fragile, learning to see each other. If we can't, I know I'm enough alone. That dinner party in my new home with Mia, Jenna, Lauren, my parents, and Clara was a milestone. The table held old scars and new laughter, stories of Grandma Ruth, Lauren's quiet pride in her job, pie shared under fairy lights. It wasn't just dinner. It was proof that boundaries strengthen love, not destroy it. Healing isn't quick. Some wounds may never fade, and I'm okay with that. I have this house, my career, friends who stood by me, and a strength I didn't know I had. That's more than I ever hoped for. I want you to think about your own boundaries. Have you ever had to tell family this isn't okay? Maybe a sibling borrowed money they never repaid, or parents leaned on you to carry their burdens, or a relative dismissed your dreams. What gave you the courage to stand firm? Share your story in the comments. I read every one, and your experiences will light the way for others. If this video hit you, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone struggling to find their strength. Hit subscribe too, because I'm here to keep telling stories of resilience, boundaries, and chasing dreams, and I want you with me. In America, we grow up hearing family is everything. Thanksgiving tables groaning with food, backyard barbecues, cheering at soccer games. But family isn't blind loyalty. It's mutual respect, accountability, love that builds everyone up. My story isn't rare. From Seattle to small towns, people wrestle with toxic dynamics, balancing love and self-worth. If you're in that fight, wondering if you're strong enough, you are. Clara's story about Grandma Ruth proved it. Standing up is the hardest, best thing you'll do. It might cost you comfort, relationships, the myth of harmony, but it gives you yourself, your voice, your power, your truth. As the stars glow above, I think of the girl I was a year ago, quiet, dutiful, scared to make waves. She's still in me, but she doesn't run the show. The woman I am now knows her worth, knows love doesn't mean sacrifice without respect. This house, this swing, this life, they're mine because I fought. If you're watching, feeling stuck, know this: you can fight too. Your boundaries, your dreams, your voice, they're worth everything. Thank you for hearing my story. Keep shining, keep fighting, and I'll see you in the next video.